Good evening, I'm Michael Patterson with Free Press TV. Tonight, we take you to the latest developments in the Gaza crisis, where Israel is reportedly exploring controversial plans to relocate Palestinians to South Sudan, a nation itself struggling with war and famine. Here's the story. Israel is reportedly in talks with South Sudan about the potential resettlement of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, sources say, as part of a wider effort to facilitate mass emigration from the territory devastated by Israel's 22-month offensive against Hamas. 6 individuals familiar with the discussions confirmed the reports to the Associated Press, though the exact stage of negotiations remains unclear. If implemented, the plans could involve moving people from one conflict-ridden region at risk of famine to another, raising serious humanitarian and human rights concerns. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has framed this initiative as voluntary migration, citing US President Donald Trump's prior vision for relocating Gaza residents. Netanyahu emphasized the approach as a solution under the laws of war, suggesting that allowing the population to leave Gaza could enable Israel to focus its military efforts on Hamas fighters remaining in the territory. Palestinians, human rights organizations, and much of the international community have condemned the proposal, warning that it risks constituting a forcible expulsion in violation of international law for South Sudan. The arrangement could strengthen ties with Israel and potentially open diplomatic channels with the Trump administration. The South Sudanese government has not confirmed participation, calling reports of such discussions baseless. Israeli officials have not publicly confirmed the talks either. Nevertheless, reports indicate that Israeli representatives may visit South Sudan to evaluate the establishment of temporary camps for Palestinians, with funding for makeshift facilities expected to come from Israel. Advocacy groups and journalists say the plan is being closely monitored, given South Sudan's fragile state. South Sudan, which endured decades of civil war prior to gaining independence in 2011, has struggled with corruption, widespread famine, and political instability. A fragile peace agreement remains in place, but tensions persist after the main opposition leader was placed under house arrest earlier this year. Analysts warn that introducing a large population of displaced Palestinians could inflame local tensions, particularly given historical conflicts between the Christian and animist majority in the south and Muslim communities in the north. Palestinians have largely rejected any permanent resettlement outside Gaza, citing fears that such moves would prevent their eventual return, facilitate Israeli annexation of Gaza, and permit the reestablishment of Jewish settlements in the territory, goals promoted by far-right elements in the Israeli government. Experts note that while some Palestinians may temporarily consider leaving Gaza to escape war and famine, relocating to South Sudan, one of the world's most unstable countries, would present significant dangers and uncertainty. Civil society leaders in South Sudan cautioned that hosting displaced populations as part of a diplomatic negotiation could provoke hostility among local communities. The Trump administration has previously advocated for international cooperation in relocating Gaza's population, and South Sudan's leaders have reportedly sought to use engagement with Israel as leverage to improve US relations, lift travel restrictions, and gain economic support. Human rights groups, however, emphasize that resettlement must not become a negotiating tool at the expense of vulnerable populations. As talks reportedly continue, the international community watches closely, weighing the potential humanitarian, legal, and geopolitical consequences of relocating Palestinians from one conflict zone to another.